Let me tell you a secret that might change the way you see yourself. Procrastination isn't the enemy. It's a signal from a part of you that's scared, but also trying to protect something it deeply cares about. And once you learn to understand that signal, everything changes. Let's rewind for a moment. You have a goal, a dream. Maybe it's to start writing that book. Maybe it's to finally launch that business. Or learn that new skill, apply for that job, speak your truth. Whatever it is, you think about it often. You feel the pull. But then, you don't act. You wait, you delay, you scroll, snack, rearrange your to-do list. You do everything except what you know will move your life forward. And then you feel shame, guilt, self-judgment. What's wrong with me? Why can't I just do the thing? Here's the truth. Nothing is wrong with you. You're not lazy, you're not broken. What you're experiencing is a very human response to psychological threat. Not physical danger, but the kind of emotional exposure that feels risky. Fear of failure, of judgment, of not being good enough. You see, procrastination doesn't mean you don't care. In fact, it's usually the opposite. We procrastinate the most on the things that matter the most. Why? Because the moment we act, we invite in the possibility of disappointment, of falling short. And so, your mind says, wait, just one more day. Let's think this through a little more. But it's not thinking, it's protecting. Procrastination is a shield. And what is it protecting? Your ego, your sense of identity, that quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, you're capable of something extraordinary. Because once you begin, that hope becomes vulnerable. It can be challenged. It can be proven wrong. But here's the irony. Procrastination does more damage to your confidence than any failure ever could. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, every time you delay what matters, you teach your brain a dangerous lie. I can't trust myself to follow through. So how do we break the cycle? We don't crush procrastination with willpower. We don't shame ourselves into action. We listen to it. We ask it what it's trying to protect. And then we respond, not with judgment, but with strategy. Let me introduce you to a concept I call threshold thinking. Every meaningful action in your life is a threshold. On one side, comfort, certainty, familiarity. On the other, growth, risk, transformation. And right between those two worlds is the discomfort of starting. That's where procrastination lives, on the threshold. You don't need to leap across that threshold in one heroic bound. That's what most people get wrong. You just need to step, to move, to shift your body from stillness into motion. The brain doesn't need you to be fearless. It just needs proof that you can survive the start. So start small, ridiculously small. Not write the whole essay, but write one ugly sentence. Not launch the podcast, but open your notes and title an episode. Your brain resists large, undefined tasks. It sees them as threats. But it will tolerate and often even embrace tiny, clearly defined ones. Why does this matter? Because action creates clarity. We wait for motivation to act, but motivation is built through momentum. The more you move, the more you understand. The more you act, the more confident you become. Not because the fear disappears, but because you've learned how to move through it. Still, none of this sticks unless we address the deeper truth. Identity. You don't become productive by doing tasks. You become productive by shifting the story you tell about who you are. If you say, I'm a procrastinator, your brain will protect that identity. If you say, I'm the kind of person who shows up even imperfectly, you give your mind permission to evolve. Identity isn't fixed, it's forged, choice by choice, day by day. And yes, you'll still fall off track. That's not failure, that's feedback. The most successful people I know are not the ones who never procrastinate. They're the ones who notice sooner and return faster. They recover without self-hate. They pause, reset, and begin again. Let me leave you with this. There's a version of you you haven't met yet. One who doesn't flinch at discomfort. One who shows up not because it's easy, but because it's aligned. That version of you isn't some future fantasy. It's built in real time, through the quiet decision to act today, even when you don't feel like it, especially then. Because in the end, procrastination isn't your villain. It's your teacher. It's the threshold guardian that asks, do you really want this? And if you do, the way forward is simple. Not easy, but simple. Breathe. Acknowledge the fear and take the smallest step possible. That's how every hero's story begins. Let me ask you something. What's one thing you've been putting off? Not because it doesn't matter, but because it matters too much. Something that lives quietly in the back of your mind. Something you care about deeply. But fear has been whispering. Not yet. Take a second. Name it. Write it down. And if you're ready, share it in the comments. Let this be the first step. I read every message. Because if this resonates with you, then maybe you're standing on the same threshold I once stood on. Let's cross it together.